The league may not want this conversation getting bigger, but Jeff Teague's comments about Victor Wembanyama have sparked a huge reaction online. People have been arguing about it nonstop.
I'ma keep it real, man. We love Wemby because we ain't never seen nothing like it, bro. He not with KD, bro.
And the situation only got louder after Wembanyama responded in a way that had fans talking everywhere. If you think this is just another NBA disagreement, you might be missing how intense this debate has become right now. What makes it even wilder is that Teague ended up putting himself in a tough spot with his own argument. A lot of fans feel like he is struggling to accept just how quickly Wembanyama is rising. And every time the topic comes up, the discussion seems to get even more heated. On social media, people have been breaking down every word, every clip, and every take, looking for flaws in the logic. Here's where things really took off. The Club 520 crew were deep into a passionate debate about whether Victor Wembanyama could eventually surpass Kevin Durant. Then Teague leaned into the microphone and said, "I'm going to keep it real. I love Wemby because we ain't never seen anything like him, but he's not KD. It's not even possible." Take a second and think about that statement. Fans immediately pointed out what they saw as a contradiction. On one hand, Teague is calling Wembanyama a completely unique player, unlike anything basketball has seen before. On the other hand, he is shutting down the possibility of him reaching Durant's level. That's exactly why so many people started pushing back against the argument. Critics of Teague's take argued that it felt less like analysis and more like an attempt to focus on Wembanyama's weaknesses instead of the full picture. They believe that when a player is doing things nobody has seen before, the conversation should include every part of his game, not just one area. Then the numbers entered the discussion, and that's where supporters of Wembanyama felt even more confident. Wemby averaged 25 points, 11.5 rebounds, and a league-leading 3.1 blocks per game while shooting over 51% from the field. He also helped San Antonio finish with a 59-19 record, earning the second seed in a loaded Western Conference. On top of that, he finished third in MVP, voting at just 22 years old, and became the youngest and first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in NBA history. He also led the NBA in blocks by a massive margin over the next closest player. Of course, Kevin Durant's third season was incredible too. KD led the entire league in scoring with 30.1 points per game and established himself as one of basketball's most dangerous offensive weapons. Nobody is trying to erase that greatness because Durant was absolutely dominant. The disagreement comes from what some fans see as an incomplete comparison. They argue that Teague focused heavily on scoring while giving far less attention to defense. To them, defense is a huge part of basketball, and Wembanyama's impact on that side of the floor cannot simply be ignored. Even Draymond Green weighed in on the topic publicly.
Is because the reason I hated it is because until Wemby said defense is 50% of the game, it was like, oh man, no one realized that?
Many observers pointed out that while Durant was an elite scorer in year 3, Wembanyama is affecting games on both ends of the court in ways that are difficult to compare directly. That's why the debate keeps growing instead of fading away. Then came the moment that really grabbed everyone's attention. Kevin Durant himself, the very player being used in the comparison, was asked about Wembanyama.
He's his own player person. He's going to create his own lane. He's much different than anybody who's ever played. And
when the actual superstar at the center of the discussion gives his own opinion, people listen closely. And according to many fans, once Durant entered the conversation, the entire debate took on a completely different energy. Before going any further, though, there is another layer to this story that could change how people look at the whole situation. And that's where things start getting even more interesting. This was not some random, one-time comment that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. According to many fans, Jeff Teague's remarks about Victor Wembanyama are simply the latest chapter in a much longer pattern that has been building for quite a while. That is why so many people reacted so strongly when he made those comments about the Wemby-Kevin Durant comparison. If you thought that KD remark was just an off-the-cuff opinion during a podcast debate, a lot of observers would disagree. They point to several previous moments where Teague shared similarly skeptical views about Wembanyama, creating a track record that keeps getting brought back into the spotlight whenever these discussions happen. To understand why this debate has become so heated, you have to go back to July 2025. That was when Paolo Banchero signed his massive $239 million rookie extension with the Orlando Magic. During a discussion about which young star a franchise should build around, Teague made it clear that he would choose Paolo over Wembanyama. His reasoning immediately sparked debate because many fans felt it overlooked what Victor had already shown during the early stages of his NBA career. Teague even said, "We only like him because he is a freak of nature." That quote spread quickly across basketball circles. Critics argued that while he appeared to be acknowledging Wembanyama's unique physical tools, he was also minimizing the impact those tools were having on actual games. To them, it sounded like praise and criticism being delivered at the same time, which only added more confusion to the discussion. And the conversation did not stop there. Later, when rumors started swirling about Kevin Durant potentially joining forces with Wembanyama in San Antonio, excitement exploded across the basketball world. Fans, analysts, and media personalities were imagining what that partnership could look like. But Teague took a very different stance. He reportedly dismissed much of the excitement and expressed little interest in watching that version of the Spurs, a position that surprised many people given the attention the idea was receiving. For some fans, those comments became another example of Teague consistently viewing Wembanyama through a more critical lens than other young stars. Whether fair or not, that perception continued to grow with every new debate. Then came one of the most controversial moments of all. During the 2026 playoffs, the Spurs found themselves in a hard-fought second-round series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The matchup was extremely physical, and tensions were running high throughout the series. Wembanyama later described parts of the Wolves' approach as an effort to get under his skin and provoke reactions on the court.
Yeah, I feel like the rage baiting would have been maybe one of the strategies. So,
in Game 4, after a night filled with contact and frustration, Wembanyama was assessed a flagrant 2 foul and ejected. The decision immediately sparked heated arguments across social media, sports shows, and basketball podcasts. Some people believed the call was justified, while others felt it was far too harsh given the circumstances surrounding the game. Teague weighed in on the controversy as well. On his podcast, he argued that the officials made the correct decision. That opinion quickly became another flashpoint because many fans who already disagreed with his previous takes on Wembanyama viewed it as yet another example of him taking a position against the young star. At that point, the criticism toward Teague grew even louder. Many people started asking whether these comments were simply basketball analysis or whether they reflected a broader skepticism toward Wembanyama's rise. Fair or not, that question began appearing more and more often whenever Teague discussed the Spurs' superstar. The story becomes even more interesting when people start looking at Teague's own history and experiences around the league. Some fans believe that background adds extra context to why he sees certain situations differently than others. Whether that interpretation is accurate or not, it has become part of the conversation surrounding his comments. Before diving into that side of the story, though, it is worth remembering who Jeff Teague was as an NBA player. Over a 12-year career, he played 826 regular season games across 5 different teams and built a reputation as a reliable and productive point guard. He averaged 12 points and 5 assists per game while carving out a long and respectable career in one of the most competitive basketball leagues in the world. Teague also earned an All-Star selection in 2015 during a memorable run with the Atlanta Hawks. That team became known for its unselfish style of play and outstanding chemistry, helping several players gain national recognition at the same time. But what really caught people's attention was something Teague later admitted on his own podcast. The comment gave fans a fascinating glimpse into how he views basketball, competition, and player evaluations. And according to many listeners, it may explain more about this entire debate than any statistic or highlight ever could. One of the most talked about moments from Jeff Teague's podcast came when he openly discussed his own NBA journey. During that conversation, he admitted that reaching his first All-Star game changed the way he viewed his career.
I was so hyped to make that team, but I wish I didn't make it. I'm saying that because I got comfortable.
According to Teague, achieving that goal made him feel like he had finally arrived, and some listeners interpreted his comments as an acknowledgement that his motivation was not quite the same afterward. That admission quickly became a major topic among basketball fans. Many people found it fascinating because professional athletes are often celebrated for constantly chasing bigger goals. As a result, some listeners began comparing Teague's comments about his own career mindset with the standards he applies when evaluating today's rising stars. That comparison became even more noticeable when discussions shifted back to Victor Wembanyama. Critics of Teague argued that it was interesting to hear someone reflect on being satisfied with a major achievement while also making strong predictions about the future limits of one of the league's most ambitious young players. Whether fair or unfair, that contrast became a huge talking point online. Then the situation took another turn. Reports and online discussions began circulating claims about Wembanyama's response to the ongoing criticism. According to various media reports and social media conversations, Victor was asked about comments coming from podcast personalities and former players. One quote that spread widely online was, "If he had been a better player, he would not need to sit on a podcast and say crazy things just to make money." The quote instantly caught attention across basketball circles. Fans debated whether it was a direct shot at Teague, while others questioned the context surrounding the remark. Regardless of where people stood, the conversation exploded and added even more energy to an already heated debate. What has really fueled the discussion is a broader question about how modern sports media works. Many fans have noticed that former athletes now have enormous platforms through podcasts, social media, and online shows. As a result, comments that might once have stayed inside locker rooms can now become major headlines within minutes. Some people see that as a positive development because it gives fans access to unfiltered opinions from former players. Others believe it can encourage increasingly controversial takes because strong reactions often generate more attention online. That debate continues to grow across the sports world every year. The conversation becomes even more interesting when people start examining why certain players become recurring subjects on specific shows. In Teague's case, some fans have wondered why Wembanyama appears so frequently in these discussions. That question has led many people to revisit Teague's playing career and his history against one particular organization, the San Antonio Spurs. This is where some observers believe the story takes on another layer. Throughout his NBA career, Teague regularly faced Spurs teams that were among the league's toughest opponents. During the height of San Antonio's dynasty, the franchise featured legendary figures such as Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and later Kawhi Leonard. For years, they stood in the way of countless teams hoping to make deep playoff runs. Like many players from that era, Teague experienced firsthand how difficult it was to compete against those Spurs squads. The organization became known for discipline, consistency, and championship-level execution. Nearly every contender in the league eventually had to deal with the challenge they presented. Because of that history, some fans have jokingly suggested that Teague has seen enough of the Spurs to last a lifetime. While there is no evidence that his opinions are motivated by past frustrations, the connection has become a popular topic among basketball communities, discussing his comments about Wembanyama. Then came another moment that grabbed attention. For several seasons, San Antonio was no longer viewed as a championship threat. The dynasty era ended, the roster changed, and the franchise entered a rebuilding phase. But the arrival of Wembanyama dramatically changed expectations around the league. Suddenly, the Spurs were back in major conversations again, and excitement surrounding their future exploded. Part of the fascination comes from Wembanyama's unique approach to development. He has earned praise for studying the games of legendary players, learning different skills from basketball icons, and constantly looking for ways to improve. Coaches, analysts, and former players have all pointed to his commitment to growth as one of the reasons so many people are excited about his future. The results have been impossible to ignore. Wembanyama continues to post eye-catching performances, break records, and generate headlines at an astonishing pace. Every week seems to bring another statistic, milestone, or highlight that keeps his name at the center of the basketball world. And perhaps the most surprising twist of all came from Teague himself. During a recent podcast discussion about potential playoff matchups, Teague reportedly told his co-hosts that if a team runs into the Spurs, they could be in serious trouble because of Wembanyama's impact. That comment immediately stood out because it sounded far different from some of the criticism that had sparked controversy earlier. For many fans, that moment highlighted just how complicated this entire debate has become. Even among critics and skeptics, there appears to be widespread recognition that Wembanyama possesses a rare level of talent capable of changing the direction of a franchise and potentially reshaping the league for years to come. When you line up all of Jeff Teague's comments side by side, the contradiction is exactly what fans keep pointing out. On one hand, he has questioned how much Victor Wembanyama has accomplished so far. On the other hand, he has also made comments suggesting that teams should be very worried about facing the Spurs because of Wembanyama's impact. That contrast is a big reason why this debate refuses to disappear. For many people, those two positions are difficult to reconcile. If a player supposedly has not proven enough yet, why are opponents expected to fear him so much? That question has become one of the biggest talking points surrounding Teague's recent podcast discussions. Once the conversation shifts away from opinions and moves toward the numbers, the debate gets even more intense. Statistics do not always tell the entire story, but they are a major part of evaluating players, especially when comparing stars from different eras and different stages of their careers. To be fair, nobody is questioning Kevin Durant's greatness. KD is widely regarded as one of the most gifted scorers the game has ever seen. His combination of size, skill, shooting, and efficiency helped make him one of the defining players of his generation. Any comparison involving Durant automatically sets an extremely high bar. During his third NBA season, Durant averaged an incredible 30.1 points per game and captured the scoring title. By age 25, he had already collected 4 scoring crowns and established himself as one of basketball's elite superstars. His offensive production was nothing short of remarkable. However, supporters of Wembanyama argue that focusing only on scoring leaves out a huge part of the picture. They believe his value comes from affecting nearly every aspect of the game, especially on the defensive end, where he has already become one of the league's most impactful players. At just 22 years old, Wembanyama put together a season that captured attention across the entire basketball world. He posted elite numbers while helping lead San Antonio to a 59-19 record, one of the best marks in the NBA. His combination of scoring, rebounding, rim protection, and defensive versatility has made him one of the most unique players in the league today. That is where many fans see a major difference between the two players at similar stages of their careers. Durant was already an unstoppable scorer in year 3, but Wembanyama's supporters point out that Victor is influencing games on both offense and defense at an exceptionally high level. They argue that comparing only scoring averages does not fully capture his overall impact. The postseason only added more excitement to the discussion. In his first conference finals appearance, Wembanyama delivered a performance that immediately earned a place in the history books. According to league records, only a handful of players have ever recorded a 40-point, 20-rebound game in a conference finals matchup. That list includes some of the biggest legends basketball has ever produced. Names often mentioned alongside that achievement include Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Charles Barkley, Moses Malone, and now Victor Wembanyama. Just seeing his name connected to players of that caliber is enough to show why so many analysts are excited about his future. What made the achievement even more notable was that only a very small number of players accomplished such a feat in their conference finals debut. That detail helped fuel even more conversation about just how unusual Wembanyama's early career accomplishments have been. This is one reason many observers believe comparisons between Wembanyama and Durant may not fully capture what is happening. Rather than following the exact path of previous superstars, Victor appears to be developing into a player with a completely different profile. His blend of size, mobility, shot creation, and defensive dominance is unlike almost anything the league has seen before. Even Durant himself has previously encouraged people not to become overly focused on direct comparisons. Many fans believe the better approach is appreciating each player's strengths individually, rather than forcing one-to-one debates every time a new superstar emerges. Defensively, Wembanyama is already drawing praise that very few young players have ever received. His ability to protect the rim, switch on to different positions, alter shots, and control defensive possessions has made him one of the most valuable defenders in basketball. Meanwhile, Durant's greatest strengths have traditionally centered around scoring and offensive efficiency. That is why many people view Wembanyama's ceiling as so fascinating. Despite already producing historic numbers, he continues to talk about improving and expanding his game. Coaches, teammates, and analysts frequently mention how much room for growth still appears to exist in his development, and that may be the most incredible part of the entire discussion. The possibility that a player already posting historic performances could still be years away from reaching his peak is exactly why conversations about Wembanyama generate so much attention. It is also why debates involving former players, podcasts, and social media continue to spark reactions across the basketball world every single week. What makes this entire situation so fascinating is how modern sports media works today. Controversial opinions often travel much faster than balanced ones, and that reality fuels endless debate across podcasts, social media, and sports shows. A bold statement can generate millions of views overnight, while a thoughtful, measured breakdown may receive only a fraction of the attention. That is why discussions around Victor Wembanyama and Jeff Teague have exploded across the internet. Every strong opinion creates another round of reactions, arguments, clips, and headlines. Whether people agree or disagree, the conversation keeps growing because fans cannot stop talking about it. What many critics have pointed out, however, is the apparent inconsistency in some of Teague's comments over time. Looking back at various podcast discussions, there have been moments where he praised Wembanyama as one of the future faces of the NBA. Then, in other conversations, he appeared much more skeptical about Victor's accomplishments and long-term standing among the game's elite players. That contrast is exactly why so many fans remain confused. One week, the message seems to be that Wembanyama is taking over the league. Another week, the conversation shifts toward questioning whether he belongs in the same category as established legends. Then shortly afterward, there are comments suggesting that teams should be terrified of facing the Spurs because of his impact. Understandably, people have been trying to make sense of all those different viewpoints. Meanwhile, Wembanyama's resume continues to grow at an astonishing pace. At a young age, he has already collected achievements that many players spend entire careers chasing. His accomplishments have included leading the league in blocks, earning Rookie of the Year honors, receiving all defensive recognition, becoming an all-star, and establishing himself as one of the most influential defenders in basketball. Those milestones are a major reason why excitement around his future remains so high. Beyond the numbers, many fans have also connected with the way Wembanyama handles challenges away from the court. Throughout his career, he has faced intense pressure, enormous expectations, and constant scrutiny from media and fans alike. Yet he continues to carry himself with a level of professionalism that has earned respect throughout the basketball world. One of the most emotional moments came when reports surfaced that Wembanyama had experienced a personal family loss shortly before an important game.
Sorry, I lost somebody today.
Despite dealing with that difficult situation, he still chose to compete and contribute to his team. Many supporters viewed that moment as a reflection of his dedication and commitment to the game. Another moment that sparked widespread discussion occurred during the Spurs' playoff run. After a major victory, cameras captured Wembanyama showing genuine emotion on the court. While some people criticized the display, many others praised him for being authentic and refusing to hide his feelings. His response resonated with fans who appreciated seeing athletes express real emotions rather than pretending they are unaffected by major moments. Supporters argue that these experiences reveal an important side of Wembanyama's character. They see a player who embraces challenges, remains focused during adversity, and continues working toward improvement regardless of outside noise. Those qualities, combined with his talent, are part of why so many people believe he has a chance to become one of the defining stars of his generation. His reputation has earned praise from respected voices throughout basketball as well. Coaches, analysts, former players, and media members have frequently highlighted not only his on-court production, but also his approach to preparation, growth, and leadership. Those endorsements have only strengthened the belief that he could be a cornerstone player for years to come. At the same time, the broader debate surrounding sports media is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. Fans will always argue about whether bold opinions are genuine basketball analysis or simply designed to attract attention. That tension has become a major part of the modern sports landscape, and conversations like this one are a perfect example of how quickly those discussions can spread. In the end, the biggest question is simple. When evaluating a player's future, what carries more weight, controversial takes and podcast debates, or the performances, achievements, and historic numbers unfolding right in front of us? That is the question basketball fans everywhere continue to debate. What do you think? Is Victor Wembanyama already on the path to becoming one of the greatest players the NBA has ever seen, or do you think the hype is getting ahead of reality? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with other basketball fans so they can join the conversation too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.